All right, folks, thanks for checking out the video. I want to talk today about a Biden-appointed judge ruling that religious parents cannot opt their kids out of pro-LGBT school lessons. Okay, so this is from the Federalist here. And it says, as a new school year kicks into gear, a Biden-appointed federal judge is using the legal equivalent of grade inflation to prop up the misguided efforts of a local school board to indoctrinate students with gender ideology. On August 24th, the U.S. District Court judge denied a requested injunction from a group of Muslim, Catholic, and Orthodox parents to opt their children out of LGBT storybook lessons, exposing the judge's grave misunderstanding of the Supreme Court's religious freedom jurisprudence. A stone's throw from Washington, D.C., Montgomery County Public Schools is one of the largest public school systems in the country, with roughly 70,000 students attending elementary school. Last fall, the Montgomery County Board of Education announced it was adopting a collection of more than 20 LGBTQ plus inclusive books for use in pre-K through 8th grade classrooms. Okay, pre-K. The collection calls for pre-K students ages 3 to 5 to read Pride Puppy, the story of two women who take their children to a Pride Day parade. A word list using the letters of the alphabet to show what a child might see includes the words leather, underwear, and drag queen. Okay, this is for 3-year-olds. 5th graders, typically 10 and 11-year-old children, will read Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope, about an elementary school-age girl who tells her mother, I don't feel like a boy, I am a boy. Her mother agrees to tell their family that we know you are a boy. But when Penelope's brother protests, you can't become a boy, you have to be born one, he's told that not everything needs to make sense. This is about love. Other books include What Are Your Words? A story about a child figuring out their pronouns, and Intersection Allies, We Make Room for All, a book that offers leftist definitions for sex, gender, and transgender, as well as asks readers what pronouns fit them best. When parents initially raised objections to the books, the school board said they could opt their children out of instruction involving the books, as parents can for other parts of the curriculum. By the spring, however, the school board announced parents would not only no longer be notified in advance when the books would be read, they also couldn't opt their children out of instruction involving the books. 3 families representing various faith traditions with children enrolled in schools run by the county sued. They object to having their children exposed to principles concerning sex and identity that contravene their religious beliefs. They argue the school board's no opt-out policy violates their and their children's free exercise and free speech under the Constitution's First Amendment and the parents' substantive due process rights under the 14th Amendment. The lawsuit asked for a preliminary injunction to restore the rights of parents to opt their children out of reading and discussing the books. Biden-appointed Judge Deborah Boardman denied the requested injunction just days after oral arguments. Plaintiffs have not shown that the no opt-out policy likely will result in the indoctrination of their children, she wrote. But what about the parents' rights to direct the religious upbringing of the children? Boardman's take is that even if their children's exposure to religiously offensive ideas makes the parents' efforts less likely to succeed, that does not amount to a government-imposed burden on their religious exercise. Okay, now keep in mind that this is in Montgomery County, Maryland. Okay, this is not a conservative or even a Republican-leaning county. Okay, Donald Trump received less than 20% of the vote in this county, which is roughly equivalent to what he got in Multnomah County, which is the home of Portland, Oregon. Okay. The article goes on to say, perhaps the most bizarre part of Boardman's opinion is her opinion that the plaintiffs' asserted due process right to direct their children's upbringing by opting out of a public school curriculum that conflicts with their religious views is not a fundamental right. Professor Helen Alvare of the George Mason University Scalia School of Law would beg to differ. In a recent law review article, she explains that teaching on familial relations is part and parcel of instilling and transmitting the faith itself, and anything that interferes with it interferes with the liberty and free exercise rights of parents. Under longstanding Supreme Court precedent, government schools are not empowered to save a child from himself or his religious parents by imposing compulsory education to influence the religious future of the child. In fact, the court recently reaffirmed, as an enduring American tradition, the rights of parents to direct the religious upbringing of their children. Boardman's attempts to distinguish these cases borders on the ridiculous. Unfortunately, this is exactly the sort of drivel we can expect of Biden's judicial appointees. While failing to appreciate basic truths of our Constitution, Judge Boardman did get one thing in her opinion correct, which he noted that the Fourth Circuit has not addressed the question of when a mandatory public school curriculum might burden the religious exercise of students or parents. This is promising, as the parents pushing back against Montgomery County School Board's attempt to indoctrinate their young students have announced they will be appealing her decision. Parents of Montgomery County, Maryland, are bravely pushing back against indoctrination in our nation's schools. Let's hope the Fourth Circuit will join them and stop the madness. So I thought this was interesting here. It certainly doesn't surprise me. I mean, especially in a very blue area of a blue state. Okay. And we're going to be seeing more and more instances like this. But the good news is that even in some of the bluest parts of the country, you're seeing pushback like this. And I think you're going to see more and more pushback just like this, because people my age, I'm a millennial, and even younger, are very keenly aware of what the schools are doing. Okay. I'm reading about it here, something that's happening clear across the country. And we see examples like this all the time. Now, when I was in school, okay, first off, you didn't see things like this. The indoctrination was a little more subtle, okay? But certainly in my parents' generation and very clearly in my grandparents' generation, you could send your kids to school and not have to worry about this kind of nonsense, okay? That's not the case anymore, okay? Which is why we're seeing more and more people homeschooling or opting their kids out of traditional district schools for things like charter schools, private schools, things of that nature. Now, obviously not everybody can do that, and not everybody lives in an area where it's so easy to do that, okay? So, props to these parents for taking this all the way to, some of the highest courts in the country. Hopefully, at the end of the day, they will prevail. But this kind of thing is not going to be tolerated one way or another. Okay, now hopefully we can settle this legally and be able to go about our day. But whatever the case, if you have kids that are school age, you need to be keenly aware of this kind of stuff. I mean, you can see the book here that this lady's holding. The article talks about 3-year-olds being taught about pride parades involving underwear and leather. I mean, you don't even have to be religious to object to this kind of stuff. Okay, so it's obviously a violation of these parents' religious freedom, okay? But again, you don't even need to be religious. You can be completely agnostic or atheist and still object to this kind of nonsense and not want your kids subjected to lies and propaganda. So I thought this was interesting. Let me know what you all think. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.